Right now, the biggest sporting event in human history is unfolding across American cities. Billions of people are watching. Stadiums are packed. And behind every goal, every ticket, and every commercial break, a gigantic money machine is running at full speed, one that will generate around $11 billion, more than the economies of some entire countries. But here's the question almost nobody asks while they're cheering. Where does all that money actually go? The answer will genuinely surprise you. This is the business of the World Cup, explained. Let's start with the organization at the center of it all, FIFA. Most people think of FIFA as just the group that runs world soccer. But financially, FIFA is one of the strangest and most brilliant business models ever created. It's a non-profit association headquartered in Switzerland that owns the single most valuable sporting event on the planet. It has no factories, no stores, and produces almost nothing. And yet, every 4 years, it collects billions of dollars from a tournament that other people largely pay to host. Here's the genius of the model in one sentence. FIFA owns the brand, and everyone else pays the bills. The World Cup name, the broadcasting rights, the sponsorship slots, the ticketing, the licensing, all of it belongs exclusively to FIFA. The host countries provide the stadiums, the security, the transportation, and the infrastructure, usually at their own expense. Imagine throwing a party where you keep every dollar from the tickets and the bar, while someone else pays for the venue, the staff, and the cleanup. That's the World Cup. This machine wasn't born overnight. It was invented deliberately in the 1970s. A Brazilian businessman named João Havelange took over FIFA with a vision: turn a modest sports federation into a commercial empire. His partner in this transformation was Horst Dassler of Adidas, the man who essentially invented modern sports marketing. Together, they pioneered the model the world now takes for granted: sell exclusive global sponsorships to giants like Coca-Cola, sell broadcasting rights to the highest bidder, and grow the tournament into a television product first, a football match second. That partnership changed sports forever. Before it, the World Cup was prestigious but not particularly profitable. After it, every Olympic Games, every Super Bowl, every major tournament on Earth copied the formula. Exclusive rights, tiered sponsors, television money as the engine. When you watch any big sporting event today and see a wall of corporate logos, you're looking at the Havelange-Dassler blueprint. FIFA didn't just build a money machine for itself. It wrote the operating manual for the entire trillion-dollar global sports industry. Now let's open the books on 2026, because the numbers are staggering. For this tournament cycle, FIFA projects revenues of roughly $11 billion, the most lucrative World Cup in history, and a jump of more than 50% compared to the previous tournament in Qatar, which brought in about $7 billion. Where does an $11 billion pile of money come from? It flows through 4 giant pipes, and once you see them, you'll never watch a match the same way again. Pipe number 1, the biggest of all, broadcasting rights. Nearly $4 billion, a record, comes from television networks and streaming platforms around the world paying for the right to show the matches. Why so much? Because the World Cup is the rarest thing in modern media, an event that billions of people insist on watching live. In an age where audiences are scattered across 1,000 apps, live sports is the last thing that gathers the whole world in front of a screen at the same moment. Networks will pay almost anything for that. Pipe number 2, sponsorship and marketing rights, expected to bring in around $1.8 billion. Global giants pay hundreds of millions each to attach their logos to the tournament. And what they're really buying is emotional real estate. For a month, the World Cup owns the attention and the feelings of half the planet. A brand stitched into that experience, on the boards behind the goals, in every replay, buys a place in billions of memories. It is the most expensive and arguably the most effective advertising on Earth. Pipe number 3, hospitality and tickets, projected at over $3 billion for 2026, another record. Regular tickets are just the start. The serious money is in corporate hospitality, luxury suites, gourmet catering, and VIP packages that can cost tens of thousands of dollars per person. Companies buy them to entertain clients and close deals. And with the 2026 tournament expanded to 48 teams and 104 matches across 16 cities, there is simply more inventory to sell than ever before. More matches, more seats, more money. Pipe number 4, Licensing, the quiet earner. Every official jersey, video game, sticker album, and piece of merchandise with the World Cup name on it pays a royalty to FIFA. Hundreds of millions of dollars flow in from products that other companies manufacture, distribute, and sell. FIFA's contribution is simply the brand itself. This is the purest form of intellectual property business. Own a name so powerful that the world pays you just to print it on things. So that's $11 billion flowing in. Now for the part that shocks people. What goes out and to whom? Start with the players and teams, the people billions are actually paying to watch. The total prize pool for 2026 is $871 million, a record, and the biggest in tournament history. The champion takes home $50 million. Every qualified team is guaranteed at least $12.5 million just for showing up. Sounds enormous, right? Now do the math against $11 billion. $871 million out of roughly $11 billion is about 8%. Read that again. The athletes who create every single moment of value, the goals, the drama, the heartbreak, collectively receive less than a tenth of the money machine's output. Imagine a blockbuster movie where the entire cast splits 8% while the studio keeps the rest. In most industries, the talent commands the biggest share. In the World Cup economy, the platform does. It is one of the most lopsided value splits in global entertainment. So why do the world's best players, millionaires from their club salaries, chase this tournament so desperately when the direct prize money is comparatively small? Because the World Cup pays them in a different currency, market value. A breakout tournament can multiply a player's transfer value by tens of millions overnight, land sponsorship deals worth more than a decade of salary, and turn a good career into a legend. The World Cup is the world's most watched job interview. The paycheck comes later from everyone who is watching. It works because of a simple attention equation. A club match reaches millions. A World Cup final reaches well over $1 billion. No advertising budget on earth can buy an athlete that stage. That's why national federations, sponsors, and players all tolerate FIFA's lopsided economics. Everyone in the ecosystem is harvesting the attention the tournament generates, each in their own way. FIFA monetizes it directly. Everyone else monetizes it downstream. The only ones who can't opt out are the taxpayers hosting the party. Then there are the host cities, and this is where the story gets genuinely controversial. Hosting World Cup matches sounds like winning the lottery. Global attention, flooded hotels, packed restaurants. Politicians love to promise an economic boom. But decades of economic research tell a much more sobering story. The costs are concrete and guaranteed. The benefits are speculative and, very often, wildly oversold. Economists have a name for the pattern, the mega-event trap, and the 2026 host cities are living it right now. Here's how the trap works. Host cities spend heavily on security, police overtime, transportation upgrades, fan festivals, and stadium modifications, hundreds of millions of dollars across the 16 cities, largely from public budgets. Meanwhile, FIFA operates under agreements that exempt it from many local taxes, and it keeps the big revenue streams for itself. The city gets crowds, prestige, and some tourism spending. FIFA gets the broadcasting billions, tax light. When you hear a mayor promise the World Cup will pay for itself, remember who wrote that playbook. To be fair, 2026 is smarter than most editions. Unlike Qatar, which reportedly spent over $200 billion building stadiums, cities, and infrastructure from scratch, or Brazil, which built arenas that now sit half empty, the North American tournament uses existing NFL and soccer stadiums. No white elephants, no ghost arenas. The main costs are conversions, natural grass installed over artificial turf, adjusted field dimensions, and FIFA's strict clean site branding rules. It's the lowest risk World Cup in decades, which tells you something. Even the best case hosting scenario is about minimizing losses, not maximizing profits. The starkest case study is Qatar 2022. The tiny Gulf state reportedly spent over $200 billion on stadiums, a new metro system, hotels, even entire planned cities, to host a tournament that generated about $7 billion for FIFA. Even counting every tourism dollar and every barrel of soft power, no serious economist believes the hosting investment paid for itself financially. It was a prestige purchase, a nation buying a month at the center of the world. which is fine if you're honest about it. The danger is when hosts believe the boom propaganda. But there's a fascinating counterexample, and it happens to be the last time America hosted, the 1994 World Cup. It remains the best-attended World Cup in history, played entirely in existing stadiums with minimal public spending. And it left behind something real. Major League Soccer, launched as a condition of the hosting bid, plus a generation of American fans. The lesson isn't that hosting is always a scam. It's that hosting pays off only when the costs are controlled, and the event plans something that keeps growing after the circus leaves town. Now, where does FIFA's money actually go after the tournament? FIFA's defense, and it's not entirely wrong, is that it redistributes. A large share of revenue funds development programs, building pitches in poor countries, funding youth academies, supporting the 211 national football associations around the world. Money from American broadcasters helps pay for coaching courses in Africa and equipment in Asia. In that sense, the World Cup is a giant global transfer machine, from rich media markets to the worldwide game. And the machine banks its surplus. FIFA sits on cash reserves in the billions, a war chest that lets it guarantee the tournament even if a crisis hits, and that quietly earns investment returns between World Cups. Each of its 211 member associations receives development grants every cycle, money that, for small federations, can be the majority of their entire budget. That dependency is also power. When nearly every football nation's finances rely on FIFA's checks, challenging FIFA's decisions becomes very, very expensive. But that redistribution story comes with a long, dark asterisk. FIFA's history includes one of the biggest corruption scandals in sports history. In 2015, American prosecutors indicted dozens of football officials in a sprawling case involving bribery, kickbacks, and money laundering tied to tournament hosting rights and media contracts. Executives were arrested in dawn raids at luxury hotels in Zurich. The scandal toppled FIFA's longtime president and forced sweeping reforms. The machine kept printing money. The question was always who was skimming from it. Understanding that scandal explains why hosting rights were historically so valuable to the wrong people. Awarding a World Cup means directing billions in contracts, construction, broadcasting, sponsorships toward chosen countries and companies. Wherever billions in discretionary spending meet weak oversight, corruption finds a door. The 2015 case proved what economists had long suspected. The World Cup's money machine wasn't just enriching FIFA. For decades, it was quietly enriching a network of officials who controlled the votes. Reforms followed, but the lesson is permanent. Follow the money, especially when it moves in the dark. Let's zoom back to 2026 and the expansion decision, because it's a masterclass in business logic disguised as sport. The tournament grew from 32 to 48 teams, from 64 matches to 104. FIFA's official reasoning: give more nations a chance, grow the global game. The financial reality: more matches means more broadcast inventory, more tickets, more sponsor exposure, more hospitality packages. The expansion alone is a multi-billion-dollar revenue increase. When a governing body changes the rules of its own tournament, look at the spreadsheet before the press release. The choice of North America follows the same spreadsheet. The United States is the world's most valuable media and sponsorship market, with the wealthiest consumers and the most developed stadium infrastructure on Earth. FIFA doesn't just want to grow soccer in America. It wants to unlock American money. U.S. broadcasters, U.S. corporate sponsors, U.S. ticket prices. The 2026 revenue record isn't happening despite being hosted in the U.S. It's happening because of it. America is the World Cup's biggest untapped gold mine, and this tournament is the drill. And the numbers on the ground prove it. Ticket prices for this tournament are the highest in World Cup history, with FIFA adopting dynamic pricing, the airline-style system where prices rise with demand. Premium knockout matches have reached prices that would have been unthinkable a decade ago. Critics call it squeezing ordinary fans out of the people's game. FIFA calls it market efficiency. Both are describing the same thing: an organization that has learned exactly how much the world is willing to pay and charges precisely that. And beneath the official prices lives a second economy, the resale market. Tickets bought at face value flip online for multiples of their price within minutes for the biggest matches. Scalpers, brokers, and platforms skim fortunes from pure demand arbitrage. FIFA polices unauthorized resale fiercely, not mainly to protect fans, but because every dollar a scalper captures is a dollar FIFA's own dynamic pricing failed to capture first. When an event creates more desire than supply, someone always monetizes the gap. The only question is who. None of this means the spectacle is worthless to you, the viewer. Fans get one of the last genuinely communal experiences left in modern life. A month where strangers hug in bars, entire cities hold their breath together, and memories get made that last decades. That's real value, even if it never appears on a balance sheet. The point of understanding the machine isn't cynicism. It's clarity. Enjoy the show fully. Just never confuse the party's magic with the promoter's math. So who actually wins economically from a World Cup? Let's rank them honestly. First place, by a mile, FIFA itself, which captures the broadcasting, sponsorship, and licensing billions while bearing a fraction of the costs. Second, the global brands and broadcasters who convert the tournament's attention into sales and subscriptions. Third, a slice of the hospitality industry, hotels, airlines, and restaurants in host cities during a few peak weeks. Fourth, the players, whose share is real but proportionally tiny. And last, the average taxpayer in a host city, who often pays more than they ever get back. Now let's pull out the money lessons, because this machine teaches principles that apply far beyond soccer. Lesson 1. Own the platform, not just the performance. The players run, sweat, and bleed. FIFA owns the stage they do it on, and the stage captures 90% of the value. In every industry, from music streaming to app stores to real estate, the biggest fortunes flow to whoever owns the venue where value is exchanged, not necessarily whoever creates the value. If you can't own the platform, at least understand that you're paying rent to whoever does. Lesson 2. Intellectual property is the closest thing to a legal money machine. FIFA's core asset isn't stadiums or players. It owns none of them. Its asset is a name, a trophy, and a set of exclusive rights, intangible property that costs almost nothing to maintain and generates billions per cycle. The same logic powers Disney's characters, Coca-Cola's brand, and every franchise you've ever paid for. Building or owning intellectual property, even small, is one of the most scalable wealth strategies that exists. Lesson 3. Beware projects where the costs are certain and the benefits are projections. Every World Cup bid comes with glossy studies promising economic booms, and decades of research show those booms rarely materialize for the hosts. The pattern repeats everywhere, in mega events, in corporate expansions, in personal investments. When someone asks you to commit guaranteed money today for speculative returns tomorrow, and they happen to be the main beneficiary of your spending, slow down. Ask who bears the risk and who captures the upside. If it's not the same party, be careful. Lesson 4. Attention is the scarcest commodity of our era, and live events are its last stronghold. The reason broadcasters pay $4 billion isn't tradition. It's that nothing else reliably assembles billions of simultaneous viewers anymore. Whoever controls genuinely scarce attention, a live event, a must-watch moment, a trusted voice, holds pricing power that only grows as attention fragments everywhere else. It's why sports rights keep shattering records while everything else in media gets cheaper. Scarcity is value, and real-time shared experience is the scarcest thing left. In Lesson 5, nonprofit is a tax status, not a personality. FIFA is legally a non-profit association, yet operates one of the most aggressive commercial machines on the planet, sitting on billions in reserves. Plenty of organizations wear humble labels over very sharp business models. When you evaluate any institution, a charity, a foundation, a governing body, ignore the label and read the cash flows. What comes in, what goes out, who decides, and who benefits. The money always tells the true story, long after the branding has told its version. So the next time you watch a match this tournament, and you absolutely should, it's the greatest show on earth, watch it with new eyes. See the broadcast rights in every camera angle. See the sponsorship billions on the boards behind the goals. See the hospitality suites above the crowds, the licensing on every jersey, and the host city's tax dollars in every police officer at the gates. The beautiful game is still beautiful. But now you can also see the machine humming underneath it, the most profitable show business operation ever disguised as sport. Because that's the real final score of every World Cup. Long after the trophy is lifted, FIFA wins the money game, every single time, regardless of who wins on the pitch. $11 billion in, a fraction paid out to those who create the magic, costs shifted to hosts, and a brand that emerges even more valuable for the next cycle. It is, purely as a business design, one of the most brilliant machines ever built. Understanding it won't ruin the game for you. It will make you smarter about every big spectacle money touches. If this changed how you see the biggest event on Earth, then this channel is exactly where you belong. We break down the money machines hiding inside the things everyone watches but nobody questions. The empires, the scandals, the billion-dollar spreadsheets behind the spectacle. Subscribe to Money Stories, ring the bell, and tell me in the comments. Do you think host cities should keep paying for FIFA's party? Or is it time the machine paid its own bills? See you in the next one.